Next off, we're off to Ghana to hear from Azuma Resources and their Managing Director, Stephen Stone.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for staying to listen to my talk this morning. It's about Azuma Resources. We have a project in Ghana, the Wa Gold Project, and the title of this presentation is How Big Can It Get? It's a really exciting project, and I think you'll, at the end of the talk, you'll understand what I mean when I say how big can it get. So we're right in the northwestern part of Ghana. It's an area that's not normally been associated with big gold discoveries, but over the last 10 years we've built up a resource of 2.1 million ounces. Most of that's in the measured and indicated category. And a few years ago we did a feasibility study, York and 43101 compliant, and we defined a reserve of 624,000 ounces of what's a very good grade for West Africa, 2.14 grams. Not enough ounces to bring it into production, and we now have underway a really big push to increase those reserves to 1 million ounces by middle to late next year, and then come to a development decision. What's really interesting about the company is that last November, we inked a deal with a new private equity group called Iberia. They're spending 17 million over the next 2 years to bring that project to that development decision. So Azuma shareholders are now free carried. They're funding the asset, not the company. But what's also really important with that transaction, it comes with a fantastic A-list management team, which I'll tell you a bit more about shortly. So they're very, very focused. It's their first project in this new fund, and they're very focused on kicking some goals. And so we have now underway a very rapid intensive value increase process underway. We're spending $6 million at the moment, and we're at the beginning of a 27,000 metre drilling program that's going to continue for the next few months. So it's a really good time to either be or to become a shareholder of Azuma, because there's going to be a lot of news flow coming from that drilling program. And a couple of weeks ago, one of the first holes to come out of that program was a real game changer for us. It was 44 metres at 5.37 grams from just 99 metres, and it wasn't just a lucky hole, and as you'll see in a minute, it was a very well targeted hole with a very specific objective in mind. So the company's ounces are very cheap at the moment, $12 an ounce, and we think we should be around about the $40 an ounce when we look at the fundamental value of what we have and compare ourselves to our peers. Which will mean a tripling of the share price, which is currently 3.5 cents, to something around about 10 or 11 cents. And that's where we'd like to get to in the next 6 to 12 months. So the board of Azuma are very experienced. We've all lived and worked in Africa. I spent 6 years working on the copper mines in Zambia, and Jeff Jones there has designed, built and operated mines like the Obertan mine in Ghana. Our shareholder register is made up of a number of institutions and high net worth individuals. It's been going through quite a lot of change recently. We've been a bit of a hibernation for the 4 or 5 years. We're just getting the company back on the radar, and there's a lot of new people coming on to the register, coming along for that ride that's ahead. We've got $2.5 million in cash, so we're not come issue. Because we're free carried with the project, we don't need to raise any money. So there we are in the northwest corner of Ghana. It's away from all the big mines traditionally down in the south, but when you look at the West African Shield, we're right bang in the middle of all the action. It's one of the best places to be if you're looking for gold in the world, and we're surrounded by some very, very big gold deposits. And what's really important is that we've got an extremely large footprint in this very fertile region. It's really hard to put these land positions together now anywhere in Africa. So these are our partners, Iberia. A lot of them have come out of a well-known iron ore company called FMG, Fortescue Mining. They all used to spend their time looking for new projects for the company and also developing their own projects. They left the company, they did the Blues Brothers thing, said let's form our own band, and got some funds out of a Denver-based PE group called Ether. They've got about $1.1 billion under management, and these guys are drawing down those funds. As I said, the Iberia are putting the money into the asset, not into Azuma. So there's no dilution there, no direct dilution for our shareholders. They're spending that 17 million Australian dollars over the next 2 years. They really don't get any equity until they've spent the bulk of that. It's a good deal for them, given that we've spent nearly $100 million on this project, and it's a good deal for us. But had we gone to the market to raise that money, our shareholders would have endured a very, very high dilution. So it's a win-win, and we're all very focused now on getting this project up to that development decision. So this is a graph of how, in the last 10 years, I've built up the resources. They're all undercover, so the rocks, there's very little outcrop, so we've had to systematically use geochemistry to build up these ounces. They've all been hard won, and this is where we are now with our reserves and our measured and indicated and our inferred resources, and this is where we're expecting to be in about a year and a quarter's time. And then beyond that, we don't know how big this project can get, but it's certainly going to get bigger given the ground position and the anomalism that we can see there. And you've probably heard and been talking to Archie from Cardinal, and what's really happening now, this northern part of Ghana has been completely neglected, is really coming very strongly onto the map. It's a place where people want to be. It's very hard to get ground position, so Namdini are here and we're here in red. We also have a controlling interest in our neighbour, Castle Minerals, another 10,000 square kilometres to add to our already 2,500 square kilometres. So we really control that whole northwest corner of Ghana. And one of the most important exploration tools these days is actually consolidating land positions. Then you can stand back and take a holistic approach to your exploration rather than just focusing on postage stamps. It's a really important tool as gold becomes harder and harder to find. This is about 110 kilometres there, and there's about probably 150 kilometres strike of what we call Birimian greenstones. You've got to be near these major structures. These are mantle tapping structures. These are the conduits in which the gold comes up into the area. The pink is the gold anomalism that we have. We've got no shortage of places to go and look for gold. It's still very early days in the history of exploration and development of this project. There's a 3D representation of the geochemistry. There literally is gold everywhere, and one of the issues is just ranking, prioritising where you're going. Our two major deposits, Kunchi and Betkong, are just over here, and our other deposit, Julie, is just over here. But there's a lot of low-hanging fruit, mineralisation all over this project. This is the eastern area over here. This is a 5 kilometre zone. There's mineralisation all the way through there. We've got a 200,000 ounce reserve within a 834,000 ounce resource. That's just going to get bigger. We've got a lot of other areas yet where we've really yet to convert them and drill them out into resources and to reserves. So a lot of upside just on this area here and also on this lease here. Now, the news that really got the market excited a couple of weeks ago was this hole. This is the pit that we designed when we did that study a few years ago. This was a hole specifically designed to see if there was any feeder zones. Where is this gold coming from? And our new team from Iberia, some of the best geologists in the country, they pulled the whole geology apart and said there must be a structure somewhere where this mineralisation is coming from. So this hole was specifically targeted to test that theory, and that's what we got, 44 metres at 5.37, including, well, it's actually 20 metres over 10 grams, and there was one metre section there of over 4 ounces per tonne. So that was really a game changer in this project and the understanding of the geology, and it will allow us to make this pit deeper and also consider going underground. But yeah, that's not the only decent hole that we've got. This project's got a history of delivering very good intersections in the last 5 or 10 years. So as we keep drilling the next few months and for the rest of the year, I think you can expect to see more and more of these. So that's another reason to look at investing in the company, because there's going to be some great news coming out, particularly in the next 6 months. So that's a plan of our Kunchi deposit. There's the outline of the pit. This is a long section. You can see the pit was quite shallow, and that's why we put that hole that you just saw there to try and see if we can bring that pit down deeper. And as you saw and heard in the Spitfire presentation, these deposits, and it's the same style of mineralisation that Spitfire have in Kalgoorlie, There are orogenic gold deposits. They go down very, very deep. Yet we've really only just tickled the surface of this project. These are some of the depths of the other projects in Ghana and West Africa that you'll probably be familiar with, Namdini, West African, Sanbrado. These projects go down very, very deep. So it's still very early days in the development of this project. And this is another long section just showing really what that hole was about. We found a structure. We determined that that structure was probably the conduit for the mineralising fluids into what we've been really focusing on up here. And it's really opened up the whole geology and our understanding of this deposit, but also it will also guide exploration and all the other deposits that we've got on this project. And just to confirm, it's not a one-hit wonder. Just 25 metres away, we've got another intercept there of 27 metres at 2.43 grams. And to the north, that's around this area. We've made another discovery of mineralisation there. There's a lot of satellite resources that have yet to be brought into the reserve category. So a lot of upside where we're going to be putting our plant. Now, as I said, we've spent about $100 million on this project. 60 of that's been drilling. We've done 500,000 metres of drilling, and that's 10,000 holes. But also, as I said, we did a feasibility study, which was a very expensive, intense exercise. So when it does come to getting that 1 million ounces, and when it does come to look at bringing this project into production, we've actually done all the hard work. We've actually got 2 mining leases. We're ready to develop. We'll shortly have our EPA licenses. The government's put power right to the gate. That tower there and the cables on it are right where the mine gate is going to be. We've got plenty of water. We've done all our community public forums. That's the exploration camp I've built, and that will then transform into the mining camp. There's a fantastic 2-kilometre seal airstrip there. There'll be commercial flights to that soon. So it's what the Canadians call shovel ready. When the time comes, it'll be very easy to bring this project into production. And because it's in the north, undeveloped part of Ghana, the government is very, very much behind development. There's absolutely no industry in this area. When you give money to World Vision, this is the area where it goes. And unlike a lot of projects in West Africa, we don't have to move any villages. There's only one guy lives on our main mining lease. Some companies have had to spend between 20 and 30 million US dollars that you don't tend to see in the capital cost that they declare. So just going back to the news flow, our partners Iberia, they're very intricately planned how we're going to deliver that feasibility study at the 3rd quarter of next year. A lot of news flow from all these different exploration programs this year, a mineral resource update in the 3rd quarter, a reserve statement update at the end of the year, more drilling all through next year, another resource update, and then hopefully we'll deliver that feasibility study. So a lot of news flow. You know, you buy your shares in this company, you're going to keep seeing releases every 3 or 4 weeks, and hopefully they won't all be delivering those fantastic intersections, but there will be hopefully some more of those to come. But just in summary, it's why invest in Azuma today. I hope you sort of got an idea of what the company's about. It's a $25 million market cap. There's a lot of value compressed into that small market capitalisation. It's been in hibernation. We're just trying to get the company back on the radar, and we're just beginning to get that traction now with these drilling programs that we're planning for this year. That breakthrough in the geological understanding has been a real game changer for us. Very cheap ounces. We hope to get those revalued very shortly. There's a very clear path to development, and there's no immediate funding needs. So thank you very much for listening. It's a very exciting time to be a shareholder of Azuma, and if you're not already a shareholder, we'd love you to become one and enjoy the journey that we're going to be undertaking in the next year or two. Thank you very much for staying and listening.